Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Yes, you guys can hear me. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So, I think cuz I've been messing around with live streaming a little bit, and I think it somehow disconnected this microphone. So, anyway, yay for sound. Okay, let me keep going down the list. Rich. So there was I need to go to the actual online thing here. So, let's see. So hello Esther, Angel plays clarinet, Andy, Sarah, Rich, Selwyn, Cod King, Anthony. Lovely. Okay, so we've got a few people here. That's all it takes. We can be the little Friday chatty group. So, yeah. So you guys can ask me anything within reason. I thought I would just chat with you guys. So, Rich asks, "Do I ever play piano anymore?" Yeah, sometimes. Right now, I don't really have a piano on hand, though. My boyfriend does have a keyboard, but we have not taken that out of the box yet. Hello, just another flute guy. Oh, you are. Got it. I have seen your Instagram handle around. Just another flute guy. I'm talking to you. So Anthony is preparing for college auditions. Oh crap. It's around time right now, right? It is May 12th right now. At least where I am. It is the evening of May 12th. I think when I did my auditions, they were actually a little earlier. But it depends on which school you're going to and where, right? But yeah, went to when I did my UBC auditions, University of British Columbia. I think that one was like, I don't know. I feel like I did the audition in like April or something like that. But yeah. And that was actually already considered late, apparently. So, oh, Selwyn is doing a youth symphony audition. Excellent. Super fun. Are you already part of that symphony? Because maybe, like, I'm guessing it's a placement audition, right? Hi, Melanie. Oh, is it midnight where you are? So you must be 3 hours ahead of me? It's currently 9:24 p.m. on my end. So, Anthony is really considering SFSU. Good professors, I have to say. Extremely awesome professors. In terms of ear training, my ear training really flourished at SFSU because my professor there was amazing. So good. And he even wrote a book that is apparently being used like everywhere. The orchestra conductor is amazing. My instructor, Linda Lucas, was amazing. Music history professor was freaking amazing. Dr. Ellison, if you ever get to take a class with him, you need to. He's amazing. So really good professors. Yeah. So Rich asks, how do you clear your mind when performing? Oh, you know, I keep saying that you have to desensitize yourself. And I guess I haven't actually explained why I say you have to desensitize yourself. Because I'm guessing currently for you, when you perform, right? Like, it's still to you like an extra thing that your schedule is not used to having, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not something that your brain is used to handling like all the time. Because you know how when you get really used to something, you don't get anxiety about it anymore. And I guess that's what I mean when I say that you just have to perform so much that you're completely desensitized to it. So that's part of clearing your mind. The other thing is actually really just like, it works slightly different for everyone. But for me, I always keep in mind that everyone in the room who is listening to me is really only expecting to be entertained, right? You don't actually have to knock their socks off. Like most people, like unless they're like actual critics who are like writing a review on you or something, most people are only there to be entertained. So just knowing that and keeping that on the forefront of my mind makes me realize that I don't actually have to be 100% perfect, because you can be 100% technically perfect, but if you don't actually entertain them, if you don't like establish like an actual human bond connection with them, then like, you know, like there's no, they're not entertained. And so yeah, like if you put that on the forefront of your mind, it does kind of help you put everything into perspective when you're playing. So let's see what the rest of you guys are saying. Oh, just another flute guy. You're watching this live while putting your flute away. That's great. I totally just ended your practice session, apparently. I'm such great influence. Okay. So, oh, Anthony, you're preparing for next year. Wonderful. Good on you. You are doing exactly what I did not do and what I wished I did. So, oh, Selwyn, you're going up a level then in your orchestra. That is awesome. You know, good on you. Break a leg. That's what people say in showbiz, is break a leg. They never say good luck. It's break a leg. Oh, Melanie. Wow, that must be rough. Darn. You know, today I was just like, you know, in my spare time, I was reading some articles and watching some really sad videos about losing loved ones. It's tough, man. My heart goes out to you. Oh, Cindy, you noticed that the Flute Center of New York is using my videos on their website. Yes, we've been working on that. So thank you very much, though. Thank you. Esther is asking how long this live stream will last. I'm guessing about an hour total. So how long have we been going? We've been going for 17 minutes already. So like about an hour, something like that. Yeah. So I'm not going to go too late because, you know, I've got roommates now, you know, so got to be mindful of them. Just Another Flute Guy is just procrastinating. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy, I'm giving you such great influence here, aren't I? Sarah just had a flute solo. Oh boy, how did that go? How did it go? I would love to hear how that went. Okay, Selwyn is playing Dvorak's Eighth. Daphnis and Chloe. Wow. Dvorak's Eighth and Daphnis and Chloe. So let me... I might as well get out my excerpt book. Do you guys use this? All right, because I actually have to like look at the music, you know, like everyone else does. So let's see, where is Dvorak? Oh, I know the one you're talking about. Right. Dvorak. Speaking of Dvorak, for the longest time I had no idea how to say his name. I literally just never said his name out loud until I listened to other people say it, like in music school. I was one of those people who, like, if I didn't know anything, if I didn't know something, like, I just wouldn't say it until someone else said it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I learned. And then I don't tell anyone that I learned in that moment. Yeah, I'm one of those. So this is the dum bum bum da 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 da. Okay, so first time I heard this excerpt actually was live. I'm going off topic here because I just want to tell you guys since I remember. Let me think. So you guys remember when I went to the the Vancouver Academy Orchestra? So I was 14 then and didn't know what the heck any of this stuff was. And then that's probably where I learned how to say his name, Dvorak. So it wasn't music school. It was actually the Vancouver Academy Symphony Orchestra. And then so I was placed second flute between two university students. And I actually watched one of the university students play this live. And that's actually my first exposure to this. Because, I didn't know what was going on, so it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool that my first exposure to this was live. I didn't realize how great that was until, like, years afterwards. I was like, holy crap, like, wow. Okay, so in terms of actual advice. Okay, so, especially that build up to that super high C, right? So we're looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth bar. Okay, so you want to take advantage of that little crescendo. You see that crescendo before the super high C? So you want to dig on that the beat before the high C. What I mean by dig is you engage your support even more, and you just kind of let your air actually shoot out a little bit faster than what you would normally do on a C sharp and D, and then just let yourself sail over to the high C. So you always dig about a beat or two before the super high note, and then you let yourself sail. And when you just kind of let go and you sort of, like, take the leap of faith, it'll actually come out and you won't end up squeezing. But it takes a leap of faith. Okay, so, and don't go thinking that there's not that leap of faith when you become a professional too, okay? It's still very tempting to squeeze the highest notes. So that's one big thing. The other thing is that everyone has a tendency to rush, especially at rehearsal D. Okay, so D. So a lot of people tend to rush. So metronome, okay, and really feel the beat on the inside. Yeah, and then again, you got super high bits in the third part of this excerpt, right? So here you have to engage your core like crazy. Crazy. Okay, because they're da 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 da, etc., etc. That whole bit there, you have to just keep your core engaged. If you don't keep your core engaged, the whole thing is going to be squeezed out. So this whole excerpt is mostly to do with core and in your sense of beat internally. Okay, you have to have those two. So it's core and rhythm. That's basically what it is. And then if we look at, what was the other one that you were doing? I need to look back. The other one you were doing. Oh, Daphnis and Chloe. Okay. Let's look at Daphnis and Chloe. If I can find it. Where is it? Okay, Ravel. Oh, this one. This was the one that I said that I failed. You guys remember in that video I talked about failing that whatchamacallit, that my second year placement audition for music school? Oh, good morning, musician problems. Hello, flutist life. Hello, genericide. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. We are currently talking about flute excerpts because one of us peeps here is doing an audition. So we are currently looking at Ravel, Daphnis and Chloe. And this was the one that I completely there's this run here. It goes, there we go. There's this run that goes, okay, so I did this on bronchitis and I end up going, yeah, I actually did that in an audition. Yes, Esther remembers exactly. This was the excerpt. So again, it's about core, right? Because same thing, getting up to that high G sharp. High G sharp is very resistant on the flute. So you have to dig like freaking crazy and then just take the leap of faith that G sharp is going to come out by itself. Okay, so dig the core like crazy before, but maintain the core when you get to the G sharp. Don't just like loosen it all up, right? But it doesn't work if you squeeze your core right when you get to the G sharp. It doesn't work that way. Okay? Yes, exactly. Genericide, you are absolutely right. Yes, I do mean the worst high G sharp of all time. Yes, indeed. So again, core. Here, if you're in an audition situation, you do actually want to stay fairly rhythmic. Fairly, not very though, okay? But rhythmic enough for the panel that is listening to you to be able to, like, they can hear that you understand the rhythm that you're playing, that you're not just kind of making it up as you go, right? Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Listen to a bunch of recordings. You want to get a feel of how angsty this is, because this entire excerpt is pretty angsty. Okay, and you want to kind of play with the emotions, So, yeah. Again, core, rhythm. Okay. Core, rhythm, but with the added kind of expressiveness for this one. That's what I would say. It sounds like, based on the pieces that you got for your audition, it sounds like they're looking to see if you have core support, and if you know your rhythm really well. Typically, that's the most important part in auditions, is they want to make sure that your rhythm is really good, your tone and your rhythm. But actually, I think rhythm is number one. Rhythm and tone. So there you go. Let's see what other people were talking about. Oh, Anthony, yes, you probably should work on your jury. Absolutely. Oh, Esther, you played a concert while you had bronchitis. It's rough, isn't it? It's terrible. Let's see. Okay. So just another flute guy has current repertoire. The Schubert Introduction Variation. I love that one. C.P.E. Bach Flute Concerto. Bach Suite. All right. So I have not played that fantasy, by the way. I should probably look into that. Yeah, Anthony, you're absolutely right. Best tip for playing Baroque is definitely getting used to and understanding the style of that time period. Absolutely. You have to listen to it and then you'll get it. So in terms of the Schubert Introduction and Variation, that one is pretty much straight up a showpiece. So you're just straight up showing off there. Just make it as flashy as you can. And the expressive parts, you want to milk it. Like you want to pretend you're an opera diva. That kind of thing, you know. So yeah, very good. So looks like your repertoire is like romantic-y, flashy, and then Baroque. You got Bach, and then you have one of his sons, CPE Bach. So, yeah, you're gonna have to switch between the styles. I think the biggest problem I had playing romantic stuff was because I love Baroque stuff so much that I guess I was subconsciously trying to apply Baroque style playing to romantic. And of course, that doesn't work, right? So for the longest time, I had a lot of trouble. But then once I realized that I should be playing them in two completely different styles, then it just made a whole lot more sense. And romantic music got a lot more fun for me. So... Oh, Sarah, I finally see your little thing about your flute solo. You had to dress in ball gowns? Oh my goodness. And you dropped that one. Oh, you almost dropped your flute because your hands are so sweaty. Yep, I've done that before too. I've done that, but I have not played in a ball gown. That I have not done. I have heard that even just walking around in ball gowns is like super, super warm because, well, I've seen it because at my prom, there are all these girls who had like full on ball gowns and like just gorgeous ball gowns. Like I was pretty jealous of these ball gowns, but it was way out of my budget and out of my parents' budget to get ball gowns because those ones can get pretty darn expensive. So anyway, that's besides the point. So I'm noticing how lovely they look, but then when they're on the dance floor by I'm guessing by around 10:30 or so, they've kicked off their shoes and then they picked up their dresses and started dancing like that. Like they looked like mushrooms, like just dancing around like this, like with all of the tulle and everything of their dresses just like in their arms like this. And it made me realize how freaking warm it must have been. So I can't imagine playing a flute while like on stage with lights on you and stuff like that. Wow, crazy. So let me see. What do you guys? Andy asked me how I decide between school and music. I may not be the best person to ask this question because, as it turns out, music ended up being the only thing that worked for me. So that's just kind of how my life went. I guess, like, for me, what happened was, I just kind of rode the waves as they came, like, figuratively. So whatever worked for me, I noticed it and I ran with it, and, to be honest, if you were to ask people and people were to honestly tell you how they chose their life career and stuff like that, for most people, that's what has happened, is that they noticed that something went right. So they went with it. So, yeah. Oh, that's Sarah Rose. You're absolutely welcome for that teacher organization video. I've been wanting to make it for a little while. I noticed that a lot of you guys have been asking about that because a lot of you actually are teaching. So, pretty cool. But you do have a question here. Any favorite tips on how to maintain an effective practice journal? You know what? I currently do not have a practice journal, but my piano teacher had a really awesome one. I don't know if I still have it? That is the question. Let me see if I can find it. Indeed I do. Look what I have here. Mrs. Aspiris's practice guide. I do feel that my piano teacher's practice guide was the best that I have used. And she did it in a chart form. So, look, she even had a handout. Like, how great is that? So, this is actually in her handwriting. I still have it after all these years. So she has 6 days out here that she's listed in a chart. And what she did here was, like, these are the days, and then these are the things you're working on, right? So we've got scales and arpeggios, Czerny. I did Czerny. Bach, sonatina, and then I was doing a romantic or a modern piece. So what she did was she actually listed out exactly what we wanted to work on every single day, so that every single day you're only focusing on one thing, right? And that way you're not so pressured to get things perfect on the first day, because let's face it, that's not going to happen. So she made very specific goals for each day that would build on the one, that you practiced the day before. And so for example, for here, scales and arpeggios, the first day you're only working on fingering, and that's all you're worrying about. The second day, all you're doing is trying to make it more even. That's all. If you made it more even, then you've done it, And then the third day you add crescendos and diminuendos. Fourth day you add different articulations, so staccato and legato, right? And what's cool here is that by the time you get to day 3, you're not worrying about the fingering anymore, so you can think about crescendo and diminuendo. And then staccato and legato, again, articulation. By the time you're worrying about articulation, you don't have to worry about fingering anymore, right? And then plate speed is on day 5, so bringing it up to tempo. And then on day 6, which is the day before the lesson, that's when you are trying to make sure that you are actually fluent and secure. So typically, people try to do fluent and secure on the first day, right? And so that's what kind of burns you out after a while, right? But what I loved about the way that my teacher did her practice journal for us was that it set very realistic goals. And this is actually how I teach my students now. I don't actually get them to do an actual practice journal, but I do actually write in their notes, like, maybe day 1 you want to work on this and don't worry about anything else. Day 2, put this down now. Day 3, maybe try this, So, and she did this for fun, but you see these little like music notes and happy smile faces and then like needs improvement and stuff like that. So the second half of each box here was your own grade for yourself, basically. Like, did you do okay? If you did okay, then you put a little music note. If you did really well, then you put like a happy smile face. If you, by the time you get to the end of your practice session, if you feel like you need more improvement, but you're not really going anywhere, she actually allows you to just write needs improvement. Like, you don't have to get it perfect, because my teacher also understood that we're human, right? So, you will run into walls, okay, like when you're practicing. So anyway, that is my favorite, absolute favorite in terms of practice journal. Very effective, really helped me practice, and it helped me save a lot of time practicing. So I still practice like this, but just without the chart. Yeah. And I actually make my students practice this way, but also without the chart. So there you go. Anyway, let me put this back. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Was that interesting? Oh, Melanie, good night. Thank you for joining. Let's see. So, Eugene asked me if if I recommend learning the Mozart Concerto in D for the youth orchestra audition, absolutely. The earliest you can learn the Mozart Concerto in D or G, do it. Okay, absolutely. They will come in handy not only for your youth orchestra audition, but for any other future auditions. Okay, like including music schools. Let's see. Tips on the Prokofiev Classical Symphony. Oh, you guys. I passed that one when I was flipping through this. Oh. Which one are you asking about? The third one. Yeah. There are cheat fingerings for this. You use harmonic fingerings. So play with harmonic fingerings. Again, core support like freaking crazy. But definitely play with cheat fingerings. Some people do cheat fingerings, some people don't. It really depends on the player and it depends on their flute. So you need to play with what works with you. So the other thing is, it's very easy. You know when you're going that part, which is after M. Let me just, for those of you who don't know, I'll just show you what's going on here. This is what I'm singing. Etc., etc. So, in this case, it's very easy to start using your throat to do that. Okay, so you want to make sure that all of the all of the energy that you used here to try and squeeze all those intervals out, you move all that energy into your core. Okay, so it's not that you are forcing yourself to relax, you're literally just moving. Okay, just move the energy down here. Okay, because the way that my mom likes to say it is that we as human beings have, you know, a set amount of energy, right? And so, you know, if you move this energy down, then you're still working with all of the same amount of energy as you were working before. It's just in a different place now. Does that make sense? So try that. Play with it. It takes a little bit of like this leap of faith kind of thing to do it, because we do this sort of like using our throat as a safety blanket. Okay, so that's probably my biggest advice for that excerpt. Yeah. Let's see. I guess you could put it that way. I would say it's more of a ride the wave type thing. Just observe what works well for you. Yeah. Esther asked what type of video is going up tomorrow. You will see. Okay, I'll say it's a story time video. Okay, so story time, straight up story time. For orchestras, an audition that you are about to take has 23. You feel like you're drowning. Okay, I get you. I think I did one audition that had a list that exhaustive. Here's the thing, is that by the time that I got to that audition, though, I had already learned all of the excerpts. Like, I had learned them all. Not that they were great, but I learned them. And so it was more about polishing them. It still feels like a lot though. So I would say just keep in mind that your brain needs time to process everything that you learn in your practice sessions. So I would suggest rotating through your excerpts. Yeah, rotate through them just to give your brain some time to process everything that you've learned. I find that because I get my students to rotate through their exercises and even pieces when they're practicing, just because, in this day and age, none of us have a lot of time. And I feel like the most effective thing to do would be to rotate through your stuff and just let your brain rest a little bit between things. Yeah. Yeah, that's Sarah Rose. Absolutely. I still have it from my piano lessons. It's from years ago now. I guess that piece of paper is probably, let me think. I'm guessing that piece of paper is close to 15 years old. I've kept it quite new. I'm quite proud of myself. Yeah. Okay, so Harry wants me to explain what it means to support your sound on the flute. Yeah, it took me a long time to realize what it really meant. But like, have you guys ever been to like a Pilates course or like some sort of like aerobics exercise course where they're like, engage your core, blah blah blah, right? And so it's basically, you're basically clenching your abs. That's basically what it is. And when you clench your abs, it actually ends up helping you like basically push your air out of your lungs faster and with a lot more gusto. You can try it yourself. It works for singing too. It's the exact same thing as singing. And so you can try singing without clenching your abs, and then try singing while clenching your abs. I'm not going to do it right now simply because it's getting a little late in the evening here, and I don't feel like annoying peeps, okay? So, yeah, but you can try it, and you can actually hear the difference. Hi, Elena. Nice to see you're alive still. I've been worried about you. Yeah, so does that make sense? You can try it. You really, really, you should try it. You should try clenching your abs while singing and not clenching your abs while singing. And you can actually legit hear and feel the difference. And the same thing will happen to your playing on the flute. Actually, for any wind or brass instrument, they're all going to tell you to support more. So it doesn't actually matter what instrument you play, as long as it's a wind or brass instrument. As long as you are like putting air into the instrument, you have to have support. So yeah, that's kind of the best that I can explain. So, oh, the Takashvili sonata. I have not had the opportunity to play it myself, but I have had a couple of my colleagues play it, and I love it. It's such a good sonata. Really good. So, unfortunately, I'm sorry I have not actually played that one. Yeah, let's see. Anthony is thinking of doing music education for his undergrad and flute performance for masters. Cool. Is this a good idea for someone who wants to perform and teach flute and conduct ensembles on the side? Okay, so to be really frank, there have been people who did music education for both degrees and ended up doing what you have just described. There are some people who did performance for both degrees and has ended up doing what you just described. It really depends on what falls into your lap once you get out of school. Now, in terms of I'm wondering if maybe you may want to switch it. flute performance for your undergrad, and then music education for your master's. That's actually very typical. That's a very, very typical path. Reason being is if you were to audition into a flute performance for your master's, you would be competing against people who already have a bachelor's of music in flute performance, and then they are auditioning for flute performance. Performance majors in their bachelor's tend to be better equipped for a master's flute performance audition, simply because your teacher has probably had more time to spend with you to work on excerpts and like the big repertoire and stuff like that. Typically, you will find that teachers will actually be a lot more lax on music education majors. This is just very general speaking. There are some schools, though, who treat music education students exactly in the same way as as performance students. So you need to look into your school to see what how your school treats these sort of like different paths. So yeah, I'm just being super real here. Like this is the classical music industry that I know. So yeah. Oh, Elena, you're in the library. That's great. I hope everything's going well with you. If people are wondering, Elena is one of my students. So yeah. Cool. Everyone say hi. I'm using her water bottle that she sent to me. She knows me very well. All right, so Flute is Life asks, any tips on picking a good intermediate/early advanced flute? I'm thinking of a Miyazawa. All right, as is the case with choosing any flute, one, you got to think about your budget, okay? Be pretty real with yourself here. Like, what can you actually afford? Do not, when you are in the market to buy, do not look at a flute that is above your budget, because you may accidentally put yourself in financial ruin. Okay, you don't want to do that. Now, when do you try really expensive stuff though, right? Is when you have chosen the flute that is within your budget and that is good for currently where you're at, right? And then when you're at a flute festival, yeah, when you're at like a convention or something and you got all these flutes in front of you, that's when you try the really expensive ones, okay? And then you can kind of get a feel of what works for you without feeling like you're missing out. You can plan ahead without feeling like you're missing out. That's what I mean. So but in terms of picking a good intermediate/early advanced flute, really it's more about what you need to find what works with your mouth, because currently I'm guessing you're coming from like a beginner student model flute, and then you want to look into a better flute. So you want to get, like, one, of course, you can contact the Flute Center of New York and get them to describe to them exactly what you just described to me. Okay, and then use my code JAF. Okay, and then you can get free domestic shipping, all that good stuff. And so yeah, you can describe to them what you're currently looking at, and then they can actually send you comparable ones from different brands. Ideally, what you want to do is, in the beginning when you're trying flutes, you want to try different brands just to see if one of them works with your natural mouth formation better than the other ones do. Once you find one that rings with you, go with that one. If you want to try different head joints that go with it, because some intermediate and early advanced flutes these days, you can actually choose different head joints for them. So if you have a choice of different head joints, that's when you try the different head joints, is once you've found one that really speaks with you. So yeah. Oh, Harry, wonderful. I'm glad that helped you out. Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out what support was. Yeah, so Flute is Life. I hope that was helpful. Genericide asks, do you know of any performance composition double majors, and do they have a YouTube channel? Probably the first one I think of is 8-Bit Brigadier. Okay. He does literally everything. Okay. That guy is amazing. I interviewed him, and he's absolutely amazing. So a couple of other YouTubers is that Viola Kid. That Viola Kid is really, really cool. And fun thing is that YouTube actually connected the two of us. So that Viola Kid is really, really cool. And then there's a couple of others that I have not actually met yet that I have heard of. So like I know there's a cellist that I've yet to meet. I hear he's coming to Seattle. And then yeah, so like we're up and coming. I think it's because we're all around the same age and we're all figuring this out on our own, so we're all kind of small right now. Yeah. Oh, and of course David Eric Ramos. He is classically trained. Yes, he does ocarina stuff professionally. But did you know he was classically trained as a singer? He did. He was a voice major. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's probably why he can play the ocarina like freaking badass he is. He has the support for it. Like he knows what he's doing with his breath support. So pretty cool. Yeah. Why do I think, Anthony is continuing to ask, why do I think some people double major in education performance, and are there any benefits to doubling? It really depends on what they're, like, usually has to do with their end goal, right? So some people want to give themselves the most, I guess, leeway when they get out of school. They want to be able to go both into education and to performance. Some people see music education as their first choice and then performance as their second choice, and then they want to do both just in case one of them sinks. And then other people are number one into performance, but if their performance career doesn't take off, then they'll do teaching. In the end, though, in the end, no one really asks you if you double majored or not. They only look to see how you currently teach. Now, if you're to teach in a school system, though, you do need the music education path. You do need that. But if you're to teach privately, then it doesn't really, like, the music education degree is not actually for that, because the music education degree tends to like look into all of the band instruments. You have to learn all the band instruments. You learn conducting, you learn all the stuff that would be used in a school environment, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I mean my answer wasn't the most like definitive, but it's because everyone has their own reasons for wanting to double major. If you're not shy to ask, if you meet someone who's doing it, you should ask them why, respectfully. But ask them, because it's really interesting. Like, everyone's story is a little different. So, have I met Donna Shin? I don't think so. I think I've seen her, though. But I have not like officially met her. I hear she's wonderful, and really nice. So, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I moved to Seattle in the first place, was that I realized that all the flutists were incredibly nice here. Incredibly nice. Yeah, my principal flutist at Ensign Symphony, her name is Rose. Same name as my flute. I knew it was a sign, She's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Harry asked me if I'm planning on doing more interviews. Absolutely. I want to do more interviews. What's really interesting is that my interviews don't actually get the most traction on my channel, but I love doing them because I love hearing other people's stories. I love hearing how they got to where they are. I love hearing the human side of people's stories, you know, like just the super real, raw part of them. And, you know, that's what YouTube is the best for, right? This kind of like raw personal stuff. Tchaikovsky says hi. Well, hello, Tchaikovsky. What an honor. Anthony, oh, that's fine. Ask all the questions you want. I'll bet the other people watching probably also wonder the same thing as you. So, yeah. It's good that you're asking for advice and for sort of the real nitty-gritty of what goes on in the classical music world. I did something very similar when I was basically like when I was finishing up my bachelor's. I really had this kind of impending sense of like, oh crap, after I get out of music school, I am going to be considered a professional, and I don't feel that way. I still feel like a student. And so yeah, like I actually took out my professors for meals and coffee, met them in their office to just talk and get their advice. So I did it once in my bachelor's, and I did it again in my master's. In my bachelor's, they told me to just be me. Basically, don't be fake. Be genuine. Be nice. Be friendly. And keep up my playing. And then I'll be okay. And it's really interesting because they're totally right. When you get out into the real world, it's all about whether you want to work with someone and whether someone wants to work with you. That's pretty much exactly what's going on. Hello. I believe your name is a play on bipolar. Hello. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, anyway, my bachelor's professors told me that. My master's professors also told me the same thing, but with the addition that they had no idea what to tell me because that's when my YouTube channel started to kind of, you know, take off a little bit. I had a couple thousand subscribers by that point. And they literally just sat there and asked me questions about what I do and why I do what I do and why am I so passionate about, you know, making videos and stuff like that, you know. And they told me, and this is without them talking to each other, but they told me that they don't know what to say to me. All they can say to me is they hope that I will keep them updated on what happens to me. So you may get a lot of answers like that. That's all I'm saying. Because everyone's story is so different. The way music careers work out for everyone is actually very different because it really depends on who you meet, and when you meet them, where you meet them, you know. There's a lot of factors that goes into what your music career develops into. So, yeah. So, Genericide has one more question before you sign off. I also have to sign off, too, very soon. You have a dream school in mind, but it's $45,000 a year and in a really expensive area. I'm going to guess. Let me just guess. It's a conservatory, isn't it? Because I had the same kind of dilemma for a while. I was told that I could audition for a scholarship. But truth be told, I knew myself then. Yes, San Francisco Conservatory. I saw that number 45,000 and I know exactly which school you're talking about. By the way, if you ever have a chance to go into the conservatory, it's amazingly gorgeous in there. Like, talk about a gorgeous school. That's a gorgeous school. But truth be told, I also could not afford it. I was told that I could apply for a scholarship, which means auditioning for a scholarship. But I knew myself, and I knew that based on the competition, I, at that point, would not be able to land a scholarship. I personally did not feel the most prepared for that kind of thing. And this is just a very personal thing. So this doesn't have anything to do with you, genericide. So, you know, definitely it really depends on what happens in terms of scholarships, I think. Otherwise, you can get into a lot of student debt, which can also be kind of detrimental to your future. So you have to weigh the pros and cons. The reason why I ended up going to the San Francisco State U was because I actually found a program there that I actually liked even better. They had a program there that was, it was actually chamber ensemble performance major. However, I was the first flutist to ever audition for that major. And so it screwed up the system, and the system automatically placed me as a performance major. And as much as they wanted, they even told me verbally that they wanted to provide a chamber music performance degree for me. They really wanted to. Oh, good night, Selwyn. They really wanted to, but they decided to just, they asked me first, of course. They were like, can we just, place you as a performance major, but we will try to get you, quality chamber performance experience here. So that's why I ended up still with a performance major, a flute performance major for my master's. So, also, what a wonderful accident, really, to be taught by Linda Lucas. Turns out she's the one who teaches at San Francisco State. And I'm forgetting his name right now. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. But the first flutist, the principal flutist of the San Francisco Symphony, is the one that teaches at the conservatory. So the two of them are really great friends. I mean, come on. They've been playing for so long together. Of course, they're good friends. And so, they like, she talks about him often. And so I hear about, because apparently they talk about their students to each other. I mean, come on. Of course you would, right? Like, if you think about it, right? Like, think about if you were the second flutist of a San Francisco Symphony and your longtime friend, is first flutist of the San Francisco Symphony. Each of you teach in a nearby music school in the area. I mean, come on. Oh, yes, Tim Day. That's exactly his name. He's awesome, by the way. Tim Day, cool dude. And I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him. Everything I hear about him is awesome. And so, of course, the two of them will talk about their students. Like, I've heard all good things. So, but it's really cool. And I think really you want to find a school where the professor matches you. That's the most important thing. So if you can get a lesson with Tim Day first, and see if you guys click, that'd be awesome. I mean, I do hear wonderful things about him anyway, so. Linda Lucas is also amazing. You can go ask for a lesson from her. Of course, I did things the backwards way, and she was the one who emailed me when she got my name from the school and asked if I wanted a lesson. Don't do it that way, guys. I did it totally the backwards way. It was awful, actually. I really shouldn't have done it that way. I still feel awful about it. Yeah. So I think I will answer one more question. Eugene asks, do you have any tips on playing the piccolo and tuning with another piccolo? Oh, goodness. Well, have you asked the question? So, tuning on the piccolo is not as mysterious of a thing as you would think. Okay, so let's first talk about tuning on the flute. Okay, so really, actually, tuning on any instrument that is not the piano. Okay, poor pianists have to just kind of go with whatever the tuning on the piano is. So kind of sucks for them because if the piano is super sharp, the poor ears are bleeding and stuff. Oh, it's bad. It's real sad. But anyway, so for those of us who play portable instruments, portable instruments, the most important thing, and I learned this from my coach, my chamber ensemble coach in my bachelor's, is that tuning is not so much about in terms of how many cents sharp are you or a sense flat are you compared to another person, because our brains don't actually work that way, right? Especially for us musicians. It's all about blending. So how do you blend, though? The way that you blend is you listen more to the person you're blending to than yourself. Because we always think when we're thinking of tuning, oh, I have to tune to them. So we end up listening to ourselves a lot more than we listen to the person that we're tuning to. And that creates a weird kind of double focus thing. It's almost double vision, but in pitch form. Okay, it's that you have one focus on yourself, but then you also have another focus on someone else, because you're focusing on yourself, but you're also focusing on someone else to tune to them. And that confuses the brain. So if you tune like that, you'll end up not actually being able to hear if you're too sharp or too flat. So the trick is to have only one focus, which is to focus on the person that you are blending to. Okay, so you focus on them and you listen to them more than you listen to yourself. And again, this is a leap of faith type thing. Got to just take that leap of faith and just go with it. Just listen to them more than you listen to yourself. And you will your body will actually naturally adjust your tuning to blend in with them. So not only now are you blending your tuning, but you're actually also blending your tone. And that's what really gets you guys to sound like one, So you take this same principle and you apply it to the piccolo. So the piccolo, when it only really works if you have one piccolo that's the lead and is just doing their own thing, and then you're the one blending to them. That's the only way it works, right? Because you can only have one focus. They can't be focusing on you too. Okay? One person just has to stick to their guns and play the way that they want to. And then the other person blends into them. Then it works. Does that make sense? So there can only ever be one focus. That's how you have to think of it. And then now, in terms of if you're a piccolo and you're blending to the orchestra, you always want to blend to the lowest note. Okay, and I know that sounds real weird, but all you do is you listen to the lowest note in the orchestra or in the band, and you just don't think tuning, just think blending. Just blend into the lowest note, and I can guarantee you will sound in tune. Okay? Takes a little practice, takes a lot of leap of faith, but it's really your ear that helps you tune properly, and just making sure that you only have one focus when you're tuning. So there you go. I hope that helped answer your question, Eugene. Okay, fine. I'll take one more question. Tchaikovsky asks, I want to improve my music playing so I can pass a university here in the Philippines. Music playing. So, 1, practice. Okay. Practice, listen to recordings, okay? Because you want to be very familiar with repertoire, okay? The big repertoire. So practice, listen to recordings, and you want to, if you can, I don't know what is in your area, but if you can, just expose yourself to performing more. I think that's the most important thing, is that we often overlook the fact that we need to, again, and I say this all the time, desensitize ourselves to performing. So even if that means just dragging your family to sit in your room to listen to you, dragging your friends to listen to you, just tell them that you're trying to desensitize yourself. Okay, like, as long as you are very upfront about why you're making them listening to you, I'm sure they'll help you. Okay, and yeah, does that make sense? Like, yeah, so there you go. Like, it's if you can perform more, it would be amazing. Somehow, it doesn't matter how. Really, you could if you have festivals in the area, do festivals. If you have competition in the area, you do competition. Doesn't even matter if you win or lose. It's just for the exposure. That's it. You can even do, one great thing. I mean, you're on like some sort of device right now. Record yourself. Holy crap. If there's anything that can make your nerves go through the window, is recording yourself. So, yeah. Does that make sense? So, anyway, thank you all for joining me on this lovely evening. It's been wonderful talking with you guys. Yeah, I'm finally settled enough to do something like this. So, okay. I need to sign off soon. So, have a good night all, or a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys in my video tomorrow. Alrighty, see you guys.